Hey guys, how are you? Um, so I started writing again. Um, I used to write when I got emotionally distraught or when I was like in a severe depression. And it helped a lot. Helped a lot. Like it was just it's where it's at. um, but as I said, I started writing again. And this time I went into a different direction. Because when I first started writing, it was a lot of my anguish coming out on the page. So, a lot of like kind of disturbing stuff. A lot of angsty self stuff, that would come out on the page. Um, Not that I ever like did that in real life, because I don't know. I just never. I was I was never that type of person. Um, Even though I understand the pull and the need for it, like this, I was just never that type of depressed person. I never self injured. You know, um, but in my stories, there was not to say that there was a lot of there. There wasn't any really any real self injury. It was more of just lashing out at other things like animals and stuff like that. So I that was a very long time ago. That book was called Adam's Peace, and it was written in like my from my freshman year of high school to my senior year of high school. So about like a 4 year span. And I just had so much anger, so much pain from like the events of my childhood, um, that I didn't know anything else other than writing, because that was the only way for me to like cope in a healthy way. Because there was a time where I was like setting things on fire, and listen. There's a time where I set like a few posters on fire in school, and then like I admitted to it and got suspended for like 3 weeks, and that was a time. That was a time, and I think the reason why my mom was so not okay with it, but she was very like calm, and she bought me a new game for my Game Boy. Was because she knew that I was going through stuff. She knew I was going through stuff, and she didn't want to make it worse by like yelling at me and being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you did that." So it was the only good thing that came out of that. But anyway, writing is the only uh, solace, the only one of the only therapies I had before going to actual therapy. Been in therapy since I was 14 years old. And I've had some ups and downs with certain therapists. When you get a terrible therapist, you know when it's terrible, because you find that they don't want to get to know you as a client. and they just want to like push things on you and assume that you're trying to do this and trying to do that instead of just listening to what you're going through. But when you find a good therapist, you know when you found a good therapist, because that is kind of hard. It's really difficult when you find a good therapist. And I will tell you, I will let you guys know, keep them. Keep them. Absolutely keep them. Because, you know, finding a good therapist is one of the most difficult things about therapy. And I know it's probably not said a lot, it's probably not brought up a lot, but with all the issues that you yourself are going through, you don't necessarily have the time and the mental capacity to look for a good therapist on your own. So when they pop up, definitely keep them. Um, but anyway, how I began to find my way back to writing, my grandmother, she recently passed away. She had been battling dementia for quite some time. And she had gotten back cancer. And it was a lot for us to take on. And there were so many days where we would get annoyed, and because she would be up and down, she would be walking back and forth between my room and the living room, just kind of opening the door, staring in, trying to scare us with her ooh. And we found it annoying at the time. We even started leaving the door open because it was just better that way. It was easier for us to keep an eye on her, especially when she couldn't walk anymore. But yeah, when she passed away, I was so numb because I had been there throughout her entire illness. I had contributed heavily in taking care of her until her final day. So I had spoken to two therapists, my therapist and another therapist when my therapist wasn't available, about not being able to cry when my grandmother passed away. Like, cause when she got sick, I shut down emotionally. I just kind of I blocked off my emotions. Because I don't think I was ready to take on the emotions that I would feel as my grandmother was going through the pain that she was going through. So I decided to just shut my emotions off. And not to say that I was like rude to people. I wasn't rude to anyone. I was just there, and the longer my emotions were turned off, the more it just became numbness, and I couldn't push any emotions out. When they lowered her casket, like, I still couldn't cry. And then a few weeks later, I was talking to a therapist that wasn't mine because my therapist was out, and I shared a memory with the therapist. I shared a memory with her, and oh, I'm getting emotional again. But it was that memory. It was a really good memory. It was a really sweet one. That got me to cry because we as a family, we were celebrating my grandmother's life and how good of a person she was. I was adopted. My one of my older sisters is adopted. My aunt and uncles, they're adopted. Like, my family, my mom and my grandmother, they did foster care for many years. So, my grandmother, she just, when someone came over, all she did was feed them. She was like, "Are you hungry? Did you eat yet? Come and eat. Come and eat. Come sit down. Eat." Because that's just who she was. My grandmother, she just cared for others her entire life. And she never complained about it either, because that's what she enjoyed. She enjoyed that. So I think when she passed away, I think I truly understood my role in this life, and how, like, me being, me choosing to be kind, me choosing to be selfless, with certain exemptions, I realized that came from my grandmother. That came from my grandma. I'm sorry, I'm moving the camera. I'm on my laptop, and so yeah. But yeah, I mean, I started writing right after she passed, and it feels right. It feels right. The book that I'm writing, it's about mental illness. Because that's probably the only thing that I'm pretty decent at explaining. Which is mainly what I want this channel to be about. Hopefully I'll be able to make another video tomorrow. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, like it. If you feel the need to comment, please do. Okay? Bye.